Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tales and Thrills. Today, we're re-sitting down with one of the most exciting new voices in modern horror, Mercedes Bryce Morgan, the visionary director behind Bone Lake. If you've seen the film, you know it's not your typical slasher or monster flick. It's a haunting, psychological descent into isolation, grief, and the blurred line between human and creature. In this exclusive breakdown and interview, we're diving deep into Morgan's creative process, her inspirations, and the dark beauty that makes Bone Lake one of the most atmospheric indie horror releases of the year. From the first frame, Bone Lake establishes its tone, cold, quiet, and deeply unsettling. It's not a place you'd want to find yourself after dark. The story follows a couple whose weekend getaway turns into a living nightmare when they encounter something ancient lurking beneath the lake's surface. But what makes it so fascinating is that it's not just about survival. Morgan layers the film with emotion, guilt, and an eerie intimacy that keeps you hooked long after the credits roll. When we asked Mercedes where the idea for Bone Lake came from, she smiled and said, "I wanted to explore how isolation changes people, how love can rot when you trap it long enough." That one sentence captures the soul of the movie. Bone Lake isn't just about a monster. It is about what happens when the monsters we carry inside finally come to the surface. Mercedes explained that she'd always been drawn to stories where horror comes from emotion rather than spectacle. "I love the moments before the scare," she said. "The silence before something breaks." That's exactly what Bone Lake delivers. It's a film built on atmosphere. Instead of relying on jump scares, it seeps into your nerves slowly, scene by scene, until you're trapped in its rhythm. The lake itself is a character. Morgan shot much of the movie on location in British Columbia, where the mist hangs heavy and the water feels almost alive. The setting wasn't just chosen for beauty, it was chosen for texture. She wanted the audience to feel the dampness, to hear the ripples, to imagine something watching from below. "The lake," she said, "is memory. It holds everything you try to bury." Working with limited resources, Mercedes used creative camera techniques to amplify the film's claustrophobic tone. She often filmed with handheld cameras at night, relying on practical lighting from flashlights and lanterns. This gives the movie a raw, found footage edge, even though it's not technically found footage. "I wanted the audience to feel like they were right there, breathing the same cold air," she said. One of the standout elements in Bone Lake is its sound design. The creaks of the dock, the distant splashes, the distorted whispers under the water, all of it builds tension. Morgan revealed that she recorded some of those sounds herself, even submerging a microphone into a real lake to capture the low-frequency hum of underwater movement. "Sound is what makes people imagine the worst," she said. "You never see everything, but you hear too much." As for the performances, Mercedes praised her lead actors for fully committing to the film's emotional depth. "I told them, this isn't about fear of death. It's about fear of losing each other." The result is a dynamic that feels almost too real. The couple's arguments, their guilt, their helplessness, it all adds up to a story where love becomes a trap as deadly as the monster beneath the waves. When asked about her visual inspirations, Mercedes cited films like The Descent, The Witch, and Under the Skin as major influences. "I love when horror feels beautiful," she said. "I think terror and beauty belong together. They make each other stronger." You can see that philosophy in every frame of Bone Lake. The glowing fog, the moonlit water, the slow pull-ins that make you hold your breath. It's not chaos, it's controlled dread. But there's also a thematic layer to Bone Lake that goes beyond scares. The film examines grief, trauma, and what it means to run from your past. "The monster," Mercedes said, "isn't really a creature. It's regret." That idea hits hard, especially in the film's final act, when the protagonist confronts what the lake has truly taken from her. The ending is ambiguous, but emotionally devastating. Exactly the kind of storytelling that stays with you. In between takes, Morgan often had her cast sit in silence by the lake for minutes at a time, just listening. She said, "I wanted them to feel small, like nature didn't care about them." It worked. You can feel that existential weight throughout the movie. The lake doesn't just kill, it swallows everything: love, memory, and identity. One of the most fascinating behind-the-scenes details Mercedes shared was how the creature design came to life. The monster wasn't fully shown until the third act, and even then, it's only glimpsed through reflections and shadows. "The less you see, the more your mind fills in," she said. The final version of the creature was created with a mix of practical makeup and minimal CGI enhancements, something Mercedes insists keeps horror grounded. "If it feels too digital, it's no longer scary. Real horror feels dirty." The score, composed by her frequent collaborator Alex Weston, adds another layer of haunting beauty. Low strings, distorted echoes, and breathing-like rhythms make the entire soundtrack feel alive. "We wanted it to sound like the lake was singing," Mercedes explained. "A lullaby that turns into a scream." When we asked her about directing horror in the modern era, Mercedes reflected on the genre's evolution. "Audiences are smarter now. They don't just want blood, they want to feel something." She's right. Bone Lake isn't about cheap thrills. It's about atmosphere, emotion, and dread that sneaks up on you when you least expect it. Interestingly, Mercedes revealed that the script for Bone Lake started as a short story she wrote years ago. It was about a woman returning to a childhood lake to face her guilt. "It was supposed to be quiet and sad," she said. "But then, the sadness became something alive, something that pulled her under." That was the moment she knew it had to be a horror film. Throughout our conversation, one theme kept surfacing: control. Morgan sees horror as a way to confront the uncontrollable. "We can't control death, loss, or fear," she said, "but in movies we get to look it in the eye." That's what makes her work resonate. Her films don't just scare, they understand the human need to face darkness in order to survive it. As for what's next, Mercedes teased that she's developing a psychological horror project set in a desert ghost town. "If Bone Lake was about drowning," she said, "this one's about drying out, emotionally and physically." She laughed, but there was a seriousness in her tone that makes you think she's already dreaming up something sinister. Before we wrapped up, we asked her one final question: what scares her the most? Her answer was simple: forgetting. She elaborated: "We live, we hurt, we move on. But what if something remembers you even after you've forgotten it?" That, she said, is the heart of Bone Lake. Watching Bone Lake feels like looking into still water and seeing something move beneath your reflection. It is quiet horror, the kind that doesn't need to scream to make your skin crawl. It's not just a movie, it's an experience, a haunting reminder that the past never really sinks. In a world full of jump-scare-heavy horror films, Mercedes Bryce Morgan stands out as a storyteller who believes that fear and beauty can share the same frame. With Bone Lake, she has proven that horror doesn't need to be loud, it just needs to feel inevitable. So whether you've seen the film or you're diving in for the first time, remember this: the lake never forgets, and neither will you. That's it for today's Tales and Thrills.